And welcome back to match number 2 of our wonderful NECC Friday Night Overwatch. We have another Division 3 matchup coming our way, this time from the west half of the United States. We'll have Northern Arizona University taking on Grand Canyon University for their Week 2 matchup.
Yeah, a battle for Arizona going on tonight between NAU and GCU. And these two teams, they've played against each other in different statewide competitions before. Now just the latest chapter in that rivalry tonight. Look at the rosters here for both NAU and GCU. But it's a little bit different. GCU actually, I believe, dropping down from Division 2 into Division 3 this year after not having the greatest placement matches just a few weeks ago. NAU staying here in Division 3. So maybe GCU trying to prove themselves a little bit. Maybe like, hey, it's unfortunate we went down to D3, looking to prove that they can bounce back after a loss last week, I think earlier this week technically, got rescheduled. But a loss in week 1, and NAU got a win in week 1. So definitely a little bit of different ambitions going into this one.
Yeah, it's one on the climb and one looking to get back on the climb from where they once were. And I think this is honestly a good test for both these rosters. As you said, they've seen each other in several regional competitions prior to this. So it's really cool that we have that sort of budding rivalry that we don't get a ton from a lot of our collegiate schools. So when we do have it on stream, we got to make sure we pick that up. So shout out to our team to making sure we have this one on broadcast. But Jesse, map number 1. Been selected. Surprise, surprise. Shocker. Tower. Yeah. Do we get new heroes this time? Is that going to be it? Remember, 5 new heroes have been released as of this past Tuesday, along with a reworked Watchpoint Gibraltar. So we did have a Jetpack Cat appearance and a Jetpack Cat ban, plus a tiny bit of Emre in our previous series. Do we get more than that here?
Potentially. I think, especially here on Legion, you can maybe feel a few things out. Maga is banned out from NAU. That's not a ban I've seen in a little bit. Bastion is the return ban from GCU. So all the new heroes are open. The cards are right in front of you, GCU and NAU. Can you do it for the stream? Can you give us some new hero content here tonight? Considering, yeah, we only saw a little bit of Jetpack Cat for a little bit of a fun strat from Doan University in the last game, and then a little bit of Embry. So have yet to see, Domina as well as Anra and Mizuki as well. If I had to guess who we're going to see, most likely is Domina or Anran, but time will tell here in this one. Is going in now to Lijiang Tower. It'll be Night Market first here.
Yeah, so I am interested in this very first match. These names are flip-flops, by the way. It is NAU on the right and GCU on the left. And I was about to say, I have a bit of a memory. We casted NAU once last semester. It feels like forever ago now. And I remember Marmello in particular, very fond of the particular venture pick, should he decide to pull that one out. But I'm more interested in the new heroes that are being teased. Cartman, perhaps the first Domina of NECC, is allowing and Annoyed Green, potentially some more Jetpack Cat. But we don't get to see that yet. I'm sorry, you got baited along with us. So we're going to figure out what's going on real quick and get ourselves back in the lobby momentarily.
Yeah, look, we're back! Snap of the fingers and magic. Sides are still swapped. So yeah, NAU is on the right, GCU left. But Jetpack Cat is here, Domina is here, and already trying to poke on through.
Yeah, that's kind of what you got to do with the Jetpack Cat. You move fast, you let Cartman get set up on the Domina for the extra bit of poke, and Marmello will hold the gates on the Reaper for that close range damage. The Symmetra and Agent Alpha, he did not have a chance to step a toe anywhere he wanted, and NAU, very good winning the first fight, especially into a sim.
Especially into the sim, and you would think, the sim can usually close the gap, but this comp for NAU, they want to keep the range out a little bit further, and especially Cartman, again, has the longest beam in the game, even longer than Symmetra, so may it be a little bit difficult here for Agent Alpha to try and close the gap if these TPs aren't coordinated well.
So GCU, your best shot at winning this is if you can move as a unit and death roll. Whereas NAU Varsity, I think they want us to play a little more split, especially with Annoyed Green on the Jetpack Cat. You're really never going to be next to your team anyway. So Cartman doing a great job so far of keeping everybody at bay. Again, longest beam in the game right now, and this barrier array is incredibly oppressive. Even with its health getting nerfed, it covers so much area. But Ramacho doesn't care about barriers, especially if there's a TP putting him in the back line. So Beasting will help take out a couple, but it's a 2-for-2. As of now, NAU Varsity still have both of their supports to be able to work with here. And Wet Noodle, though, she's going to overstep just a little bit. That's enough for Omni to punish and make GCU feel confident in coming back. Lilas lays down the amplification matrix. Beasting throws a couple more punches through the barrier. Oh, attempted catnapping, but a failed one. Thanks to Omni there. NAU Varsity, despite being down for quite some time, managed to hold on at this point a lot longer than they arguably should have. Get up to about a little over 80% before GCU take over.
Yeah, eventually the flip goes through. Nice little cancellation there from Omni onto Annoyed Green, like you said. Just completely taking away the Catnapper, which I gotta say is one of the funniest ults in the game.
I love that.
Like, it is so good. But now a little bit of a hold here for NAU. They don't have a SimTV to go straight on the point like GCU did, so we're trying to see if they can find an early pickoff.
The Kitsune rush from Wet Noodle, and then like half the kitchen sink from GCU. And I say half because they're using 2 out of their full ults, and Omni is sped into the backline. Martel didn't know it hit him there, and Cartman has a better idea of what did. Somehow, though, there are 2 traded back the other way. So GCU realized they need to back off. The only reason any of you can't push is because Cartman is not there.
Yeah, no Lucifer for GCU. Yeah, especially that'll force them to back away. You know, God forbid Agent Alpha can pop the photon barrier from spawn, but they'll try and slow this fight down. Toad not giving him the option.
Yeah, Toad wants to go fast, but there's a big shield in his face, and a bigger one that his Domina gives him. And, you know, Marmello, I admire this attempt, but Reaper just has not been it as of late. That has been canceled out. Death Blossom, and about to be a very laser-beamed Domina. A creative use of the ult defensively from Cartman. He's actually going to stay on his feet with Annoyed Green coming up with the Symmetra pick. So Agent Alpha can't help support the team in the front line, meaning Beasting has no other choice but to run it down, knowing it's close to final fight territory. They'll secure the pick onto Cartman and leaves the rest of NAU scrambling.
Yeah, Marmello even goes over to the Vendetta to try and get more chunk damage onto Beasting, and it just doesn't work that time around. GCU completely flipped this on its head. 90% and counting now for the Lopes to close out round 1. But NAU still have an easy touch considering Annoyed Green is on Jetpack Cat.
Yeah, they'll at least get an overtime, but not really any ults to work with. Benami getting very close to a Deadeye, so something has to happen before that, and it is Marmello. He's in there, he's swinging a big sword, and he is turning GCU into mincemeat as Vendetta does. Such a powerful hero, even with the nerf today. I'll get NAU another shot.
Yeah, those overhead slashes are just ridiculous still, right? Like, it's so much, and I think this is just to make sure they get a touch. Yeah, they will take the Cassidy up, but oh, we could get Deadeye, Cat Deadeye.
Oh, they dropped it.
They dropped.
Okay,
go
there's
back.
still a touch. It's okay. Omni's here. It is time for the cat eye. Will it actually happen? Omni, not a great angle. And Blood has to get him in a good spot, but they don't touch! No! I mean, I wanted to see it work. We were rooting for you, GCU. It's a new play. It's fun, but unfortunately, the objective does need to be contested in order to make it happen. So NAU will get Night Market after all.
I'll give them this. They were in it for the content, right? Like they were completely committed to getting just a little bit of a funny play here on stream. And NAU close it out for Night Market, and now going over to the second round here. And yeah, you look at the comparison here, like Cartman, 14 eliminations, lead. You can tell why Domina's getting banned a lot in ranked right now. Part of that is people just don't want to play against the new heroes, but also just the fact that they're genuinely a good hero, especially on maps like that. This could be the 1 point on Lijiang, though. Could get a little bit tricky. It's a little more closed in than the Domino would like.
But it's also closed in that well, I was going to say, hey, Vendetta likes that. Toad went back over the Sojourn. So, Marmello likes it. There we go. Problem solved. Reaper, small rooms, great time. So, the thing is, though, Agent Alpha did take over the high ground, where he would have liked to stick Toad originally. It is actually reformed too. Force from Marshmallow. The DPS, not in fantastic positions for NAU as they look to start this fight on their own terms. Doesn't seem like they'll have the opportunity to. Toad holding down ship on this little high ground, or I say high ground like you just can't walk up the stairs to it. But again, NAU Varsity are going to fall over. They got a lot of their resources forced early.
Yeah, and GCU, once they got control of point in that back high ground, we're never going to give it up. And that is the one issue with this comp for NAU, is Marmello does make the swap over to the Vendetta, which we thought we would see. It can be a little bit hard to be the team pushing in unless you find somebody out of position or force it maybe from, you know, at least some of these abilities, just like the Sonic Repulsors from the Domino.
There's great ways to buy space, but you're just slow. You don't move forwards, and especially because Annoyed Green isn't playing Lucio to match that of Ebullient there. It's not easy to get space, but you think the big shield would help that? Not quite in that circumstance. And all it does is result in a trade, but perhaps one that you can work with. Beasting running it down onto Wet Noodle, but she can easily TP out of danger and even gets a nice melee finish onto her Kiriko counterpart and Lilas there. GCU down both their supports for the time being. And Cartman happy to just dunk her down on the point, but I guess didn't expect Beasting to have Annihilation up in time, and in fact, the perfect time, because it means GCU gets to stabilize.
Yeah, maybe you didn't want to use the Annihilation there, but you make sure that that fight, which felt like it should have been a GCU win, doesn't suddenly turn for the favor of NAU. So now almost 70%. GCU in a fantastic spot. Overclock online from Omni to try and keep everybody away, and both support ultimates soon, but NAU got 3 ults of their own.
Yeah, NAU, especially, I want to see how they use the Nauticon here from Cartman. He had a great mix from it last time with Suzu coming out. That will be the opportunity, and Marmello is happy to run it down without fear of being shot at. That's a triple kill now for him, and NAU, they'll get control of the point for it.
Yeah, very expensive. Obviously, you use 2 ultimates for it. You still have catnapping, which if you do find somebody, let's say they can find Beasting, send him off the edge, it is going to be worth ultimate for a jetpack cap. But the Lopes here can play aggressive with the Sound Barrier and just push in and give Agent Alpha plenty of time to finish off the fight with the ult.
Yeah, and you can just GCU, they're not in any rush here. You still have Sound Barrier too from Ebullient. Honestly, they're fighting on their own clock. NAU,
Toad?
Not what you wanted. I hope that's not on his own accord. But either way, it's a 4v5 favoring GCU. Ebullient running it down, had the Sound Barrier. That's a I think it's a Glad, actually, out of Omni, too, to close that one out as GCU. I don't think they're going to allow NAU another touch onto this objective. Unfortunately, no catnapping for Annoyed Green once again. Him going down, I don't think anyone can even get there this time. We're going to go to round 3.
A little bit of an unfortunate mistake there from Toad, and it has dire consequences that time for NAU. GCU even us up at 1 apiece. Once they realize, hey, the Sojourn is gone, a lot of the range damage is gone from NAU, it just opens the door for GCU to walk in with not too much of a worry. And going into now the final round, into Gardens, and even Beasting, after going the Ramatra the first 2 rounds, realizing that maybe the Domina is the best way to go here to finish out.
Yeah, and I'd agree. I think that there is a lot of value to be gained from playing her. Again, the space that she can control, it's great. I think, as you said, Jesse, in close quarters battles like that, it's a lot harder to make work. But this time, it's actually going to be swapping. GCU are taking a page out of NAU Varsity's book. For Guardians, is the rollout is there from Annoyed Green, and Omni is set reeling.
Yeah, that's not the way you want to start a fight. If you're GCU, you have a fantastic round on Control Center. And then somebody gets booped right away. So that'll open up the point immediately for NAU. Granted, potentially a touch here from Agent Alpha can try and send this into overtime.
No!
Well, that
was a failed
taxi didn't
lifeline.
work.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
that. Whoops.
Yeah, so GCU had a chance, and then yeah, no,
And
that's
then-
probably the worst thing that could have happened, especially if you get your own support's hands.
Some playtesting still required on the lifeline. It feels like sometimes you don't realize how low the person you were carrying is. This time the TP works.
Yeah, everyone's on the point, safe and sound. Actually, I'm not gonna jinx that until we're off that little bridge area, but it is gonna be a little difficult for Beasting to walk into Cartman's Orisa. Very commanding presence. Poke damage is kind of crazy, and you just don't have a speed boost here to walk on through. You're very reliant on the poke or Agent Alpha finding an angle, but it's Marshmallow on his signature venture, popping on out, get a burst of damage onto Agent Alpha, who's was in a precarious spot, but able to swing back over to his team. Eventually, the Domina gets onto the point, beasting, trying to make something work, but Marshmallow, another fantastic rotation of cooldowns, punishes Agent Alpha for a bit of an overextension, and Toad there to clean up the rest as both supports down. A nice shot to finish it off.
Beautiful shot there from Toad. Omni almost gets staggered out as well. Does eventually get some healing from their support, and now Beasting's like, oh, we're not doing a dominant mirror? All right, I'll just go back over to the Ramatra. It's a decent matchup against the Orisa, even though I think at this point, maybe Orisa still slightly favored, but because of how long that fight went, Molly, this is final fight for the Lumberjacks. They can seal the map right here with Terra Surge and Beats. Granted, yes, the Lopes have both support ultimates and the overclock here from Omni, but they gotta find something early.
Are we gonna get our first successful catnap? That's what we need to find out. He's thinking about it, but ends up not committing, taking the time. On the other side, Terra Surge out of Cartman. Yes, we do get a successful catnapper, I think. Maybe not. Okay, Toad eventually falls off the map, but at what cost? Your support was out in Narnia the whole time. Lilas and Beasting are both dead. Omni has to clutch this up by himself with an overclock, and he's getting run at by Cartman, who cannot be hit in the face. And the Varsity, we're going to close this one out here, and now the cat has been dealt with, and this is looking all North Arizona in the kill feed, even as Lilas and Beasting come back for one last ride. The cat experiment did not work out for GCU on this map. That is an NAU thing for the time being, as they will be the ones to take Lijiang Tower.
Lumberjacks chop down the Lopes here to start off on Lijiang Tower, and now we can see if some of these bans, at least early on here, will make a difference late. But the most jetpack cat we have actually seen today, and yeah, very early here, especially at Annoying 3, you can tell, like, taking advantage, using that minor perk with the claws, and yeah, of course you're going to go in at that point. You might as well try a little bit of a 1v1. The Lucio is great usually in those support 1v1s, but Lucio can't fly. So it's a little bit tricky when you're going up against jetpack cat to hit those shots.
Especially if she's just clawing and hissing at you. That's
yeah.
It's not great. You're gonna end up with a bunch of band-aids on your arms. So, yeah, that was fun. I gotta admit, I think NAU, one of the few teams that we're going to see experiment with these new heroes. We can clearly see the practice that has been going in onto them. Cartman, of course, the one to play the Domina for most of that map, only ended up swapping for the last part after it didn't work out so well. And you know, I think that there's a lot of room for this to be continued throughout the series. I just wonder if it was a specific, Gardens type composition, or we still have to get a little bit more comfortable in some of these combos before we do it more.
Yeah, you can tell these teams are, at least compared to our last game, more comfortable in trying to run this. Like, we almost got the Lifeline Deadeye. It's just, nobody touched the point to let the Deadeye actually go off, and we see a lot more of these Lifeline plays. And yes, there's going to be some growing pains, right? Like, you accidentally send your Domina off the edge. Maybe not a great start to the third round here for the Lopes. But I will say it's been great to see some Domina gameplay already, like you said, from Cartman. They're doing a fantastic job using that shield. And especially every time you hit somebody with those abilities, you're regaining shield health. So you can tell Cartman more kind of using it defensively sometimes. Like, oh, if I pop the crystal, gain up some of the shield health I'm missing. Or I can use just a little bit of like the Sonic Repulsors, and then, hey, get some of that shield health back. Wait for my shield to actually come up. If you can get into that rotation of abilities, and that shield, Domina's just so hard to kill at that point. So, no, it's been great so far to see more Domina played, but I wonder if she will get banned now going into map 2.
Yeah, that is kind of a thought that's at the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I do think it will be map dependent. Like, if we go to like a Watch Puncher Brawler, probably not going to see a Domina ban, but it really will depend on what these teams are feeling. Have only seen the Brawl type compositions from them thus far, so it's just something to investigate as the series continues to go on. I do think that there's a lot for GCU that they were attempting but just
Yeah.
it didn't work out. Like it wasn't even team play. It's just like these weird synergies. Like you could kind of tell that they were learning as they were going. In a way, like, okay, how do we push in against the Domina? How can we deal with the jetpack cat or use a jetpack cat to our best advantage? And that's kind of the advantage. If you have taken these last 4 or 5 days to really grind out these new heroes, learn their quirks, how it can work in your team, it's going to be a major advantage. And I think that's what NAU have showed us so far.
Yeah, and especially, like you said, with these new heroes, it's only been a few days since they came out. There's going to be a lot of growing pains. Like, we're going to see teams get better and better at these comps over the next few weeks. Nobody is expecting, I think, a lot of these new comps to look perfect. Blizzard World, surprisingly enough, no King's Row tonight. We get double Blizzard World. Definitely not what I thought we were getting tonight, but again, kind of leaning more towards the poke/dive angle. Maybe GCU is wanting to lean on a little bit more. They obviously played a lot of Soj during this first map, so maybe trying to lean into that strength a little bit.
I think that would make sense. Omni, whatever hit scan, was getting a good amount of value wherever. So I think Blizzard World does make a lot of sense for that. And also, I think just running the straight-up brawl, especially if one team is more confident in a Vendetta or is able to support a Vendetta better, you don't really want to find that out the hard way.
No.
So this does, I don't know about you, Jesse, feel more like a Domina map, that you could do it here. I don't know if it's nearly as good because it's a little too ranged. I'm not sure if I'm thinking about the value the best
it's
here.
playable, I think, on defense. It could be a little tricky to gain ground on offense. You would almost need your Vendetta to go make some space. Or go make whoever your flex DPS is to maybe force somebody off high ground. Or force a rotation so the rest of your team can move up. Because you don't have a moving shield. You don't have like a jab spin or a defense matrix to kind of usher your team through. You kind of can just send shield forward and hope the other team just doesn't push past it. And at that point, you have no protection for you and the rest of your team. On defense, it can be a lot harder to do that walk up and push through that shield. So if we see the Domina, I have a feeling it'll be more on the defense side, but we do have the potential for it, actually. GCU will ban out the Vendetta, which did give them some issues, so it's a reasonable ban here. And NAU will answer with the Lucio, so potentially more Jetpack Cat. That's what it's telling me.
You know, I'm getting flashbacks to how that went from our previous match, where there was an attempt to just move the tank up a little bit too far up, but it was cool. It kind of worked until you did it too, like it worked, and you're like, oh, it can work more. No, that's it. Too much.
Stop.
Too much dip on your chip, as my fun friend would like to say. So, when you really have to consider. Are you abandoning the rest of your team when you're using Jetpack Cat? You are very prone to that, and it did happen a little bit on our previous map. We'll see. I highly doubt that is a defense thing, which of course we will focus on first. It is GCU who got to go there, as NAU actually opted to go for the attack.
Yeah, not often teams elect to go for the attack first on this map. It's usually the defense, so a little bit of an interesting choice here from the Lumberjacks. We'll see how it all works out. GCU on the defense, again, with that Lucio being banned by the Lumberjacks, it'll actually be kind of this, again, ultra poke, right? Baptiste, Wu Yang, Omni's on the Ashe, who is still pretty consistently good right now. So, again, just going to try and keep NAU at bay, and maybe with Agent Alpha being a little bit of an agent of chaos when NAU are trying to walk on up. And potentially here is some more tomfoolery with the Jetpack Cat. Annoyed Green is continuing on it right now. And let's see who they try and lifeline early if they do anybody. Oh, yep, there goes Cartman.
Goodbye, Cartman! Oh, no, they just dropped him. Well, okay, so not as crazy as the last map. I wonder if they're going to try to put him, like, do they just put him on the high ground, like, up where the rest of the team is? They had to use Suzu already, and Marmello had to jump ship. I'm not sure if that was accidental or not, but you got Cartman to the high ground regardless, and he uses the Sonic Repulsors to just push everyone off straight to where Marmello was waiting. That was actually a fantastic 1-2 punch from the NAU team. Very creative, and those are the kind of things I want to be seeing with these new heroes.
Yeah, that's a perfect way just to get everybody off high ground. Annoyed Green almost doing some scouting, like, hey, where are you guys at? Now it has to tuck away. First tick already achieved.
Yeah, and Marmello is still farming, and this is kind of his bread and butter, or his rocks to be munched. Is this venture? It's looked really good so far, especially on follow-up, and gets NAU Varsity 5.5 minutes and change on second point.
Didn't even feel like a real fight. Like, it was just like,
No.
oh, NAU pushed some space, and they got one pick, and GCU felt like they couldn't win the fight. And it's definitely a weird one to start out, but NAU ain't gonna complain whatsoever. Over 5 minutes going into second phase. GCU playing super far back as well, trying to deny Marmello more of that value that we especially saw during first phase.
You said Marmello, but I'm also, do you want to put as much distance between you and Annoyed Green's drop shipping of Cartman as possible, so you at least have a chance to get some poke on either the Domina or the Jetpack Cat before they get too close. And it's worked out for Omni so far. Omni showing to be a very competent hit scan player if he has the space, and it's, in this case, taking out Wet Noodle.
Yeah, Wet Noodle gone. She'll have to find a lifeline, and
Oh.
well, Annoyed Green will have a very similar fate, and that kind of puts a giant pause on this attack here for NAU.
Ha 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 ha. Did you do that on purpose?
No, that was completely off the tongue. we're kind of we're not.
Man, you should have
professionals
just
at this,
gone
let's
with
be-
it, Jesse. You
Well,
had an opportunity there. Or saying something about cats not liking water.
True.
That was the other one. Man, I'm just, as soon as this cat came in the game, I'm like, I'm gonna cook some of these races. But speaking of cooking, Cartman is getting cooked by having a bomb at his back and Agent Alpha at his feet. So no take there for NAU Varsity. GCU, much better posture on this defense.
Yeah, and the catnapping unsuccessful this time for Annoyed Green. They're going to stick with it though. Hey, I respect it. Toad. What a play there from Agent Alpha. Just patience, realizing, hey, Toad completely alone.
And just don't go to small room where there might be a venture. Just like a hit
Or
stand.
just check the corners, everybody. Reminder.
That too.
Hit the sign.
Yeah, if you're a venture player, you're gonna play ratty, and that is exactly what Agent Alpha did there. You just completely catch players off guard if you're not checking every single angle. And yeah, that's something that NAU Varsity, thankfully, they're close enough. They tried to push with it. Cartman threw out the ultimate, although I can't see if it landed on anybody. Gonna go with no, but at least you got Agent Alpha down. Took a bit of an over-aggressive push, not seeing the rest of his team backed off after burrowing in. So GCU, now on a 4v5, they're gonna step back a little bit now as Toad and Cartman have controlled height.
Yeah, NAU full high ground control. You can see Agent Alpha maybe teasing with Fate a little bit.
Boom! Or Omni, as a matter of fact. Toad just gonna go ahead and pop the overclock, see if he can get any more after that fantastic shot onto the opposing hit scan. It doesn't come up with a whole lot, and then a couple of shots into Beasting, just blocking arms there. Does have Annihilation though, Jesse. I'm kind of waiting for him to just drop and run it down. That seems very much like something that he would be doing, but GCU definitely biding their time. Now Lilas says, all right, it's go. We press the green button, and Beasting wants to press his shining button, but only if he needs it. You might, because Marmello already got your support and is pulling out the Tectonic Shock, taking an uncomfortable position with no support. That last wave pushed Lilas out of position entirely. That is the Annihilation completely down to waste. GCU, they had a good hold, they had a good stand play, but NAU Varsity just not letting them fully get their footing back for the most part.
Yeah, NAU kind of having to play relaxed there for a second. Annoyed Green, very ballsy play, diving in, but now, hey, the value is there for a moment.
Well,
oh my God, they got the ramp.
It was nice knowing ya. I think you take that trade. Honestly, who's contested the card? Absolutely nobody. I can tell you that, especially with Cartman. Nice Sonic Repulsor there at the end, hitting onto the Agent Alpha. Deny the touch. That's 3 minutes now for NAU Varsity with our second successful catnapping.
Yeah, catnapping starting to be a little bit of a trend now in this series. And yeah, Annoyed Green, they have a perfect spot here on the platform to the right as well, if they want to continue that. But look at this, Domino, full high ground. You're welcome.
Oh yeah, wait, hey, why does it take up there? Oh yeah, she can be dragged by a lifeline by her favorite little cat friend. So Jetpack Cat proving very useful for NAU Varsity so far. I like the thought that they're putting into it. Marmello doesn't have any thoughts. Got blown up. It's like that pillar, not enough cover for the venture. But there are no venture for either team. GCU sees that as an opportunity though, throws out the bomb on for Omni to get doped by Annoyed Green at the end of things, trying to get back to his team, but it's getting spotted out, although the Agent Alpha can't really do much about that. No, what? Oh, that sucks.
That's unfortunate. Annoyed Green thought he was in the clear, and Bob said no right before he got sent back away. 2 minutes still for the Lumberjacks, and the ultimate is back online here for Cartman. Kind of more used defensively as of late, though.
Yeah, I honestly think it's better defensively or more as like a fight closer. It doesn't seem like much of an initiative tool from what I've seen thus far, but a great Tidal Blast actually stunned up both Cartman and Wet Noodle. Abellan and well, what was Agent Alpha had it under control there.
Yeah, there's a nice simple fight there from GCU, and yes, it doesn't take a ton of time off the clock, but it's a very inexpensive one as well. But like I said, now oh my god, they're gonna put Napticon with the lifeline, maybe. Oh.
You know, I'm wondering if Cartman gets good value out of this. Do you use the catnapping to cancel out Annihilation? I'm seeing that as a real possibility, but for now, it'll be the Kitsune Rush. And Toad finding value out of it, even though it's not his own. That's exactly what's going to happen. Beasting got picked up, but actually takes Annoyed Creed out of the fray before it happens. Nonetheless, though, Toad still frying on the overclock. If the Sojourn has not been contested, he has been putting in the work. For NAU varsity. GCU seem to have lost their grip on the defense for the final time. A couple more players trickling onto the objective. Still have Tectonic Shock out of Agent Alpha, but no chance to use it as the touch is nowhere to be found.
Touching out there, but under a minute for the Lumberjacks here on their attack. So 55 seconds left on the board. If GCU cap in overtime, then they at least get an overtime push regardless. But yes, you look at the kills here. We're like, oh, it's actually pretty even. If anything, slightly GCU favored. It's just NAU took very smart fights. They tried to take them pretty nice and slow, and even if it wasn't always eliminations, we saw like the one catnapping, drags the Ramacha off point. Cartman is able to use the Sonic Repulsors at that point, push away anybody else that was trying to touch, and you get a free point without really winning the fight. So I think those kind of plays right now that are pushing NAU over the edge, even if you look at the scoreboard, GCU are pretty much even right now.
I know all those people that like are holding tab constantly in their games, like reading the scoreboard. This is what team play is about, right? It's so far away from what the stats actually show. Like your ability to creatively take space, catch your opponent off guard, command certain areas of the map, all are going to feed into how it works. And playing objectives, that's the other big one that I think did go really well there for NAU. Jetpack Cat, of course, being a huge tool in that.
Oh, just a fantastic tool. And you can see, again, NAU are getting a lot of value out of this Jetpack Cat, whether it be just sending it into the back line, right? Diving out of the ash, getting the claws a little bit deep in there, but also, obviously, it's kind of pretty much taxiing around Cartman with the lifeline, not making those rotations take as much time. And in part, they're getting more fights because that prep time is getting slashed every single fight. They're able to get that kind of a setup. But now the answer is, can GCU push through this composition that we talked about was probably going to be better on the defense anyways?
Yeah, that's kind of the thought for that composition is how can you make this work on the attack if you have to move so slow into him? Well, you ban Lucio, you make sure your opponents can't move quick, and then you just taxi Cartman around in a 5-star Uber. So it's going pretty good for NAU varsity and arguably easier now. GCU have to find a way to disrupt positioning, and if Agent Alpha sticks this Symmetra, I think that's a fantastic way to do it.
Yeah, because then obviously you don't have the Lucio, but you have some way to get around the shield here from the tank of Cartman. So, yeah, you can at least push around the barrier array. Obviously, it's if you've realized it, obviously it's not just a flat shield in front of you either. It covers the flanks, which makes it really hard for especially DPS like Tracer and Genji and Reaper and even to a degree the Venture, because you really have to commit at that point. So that's why this TP probably going to try and go right on the point or right across the choke.
Yeah, taking a bit of poke. I wonder if they just meet them on high ground.
Good point.
I think that's better. Agent Alpha puts it down, but has to go quite a bit out of the safety of the choke to do it. And Toad picks up both supports as a result of that long rotation. It was like really just a matter of half a second. Cartman gets one off the map, actually, with the Sonic Repulsors. And yeah, GCU, I like the idea, just the execution wasn't there.
Yeah, supports need to live if you're going to do it. Cartman, well, it's stuck in the ceiling there, actually. But Yeah, I didn't mind that.
Oh.
Well, we got teased there for a second by Agent Alpha teasing the on-run just to go over to the Genji. Instead, Simplay didn't work, maybe trying to deflect a lot of this damage on entry instead.
Yeah, they're just gonna try to walk high ground the old-fashioned way. I'm okay with that, as long as everybody gets to high ground. Smart Mellow, that's a dangerous spot to have a Venture at your back, so GCU, if you need to turn and burn or get moving quickly, does force the Burrow out of NAU's Venture and forces the rest of the team to drop from high ground, so there everyone is going to reset on active and Marlo. That's a cheeky little angle that you managed to find over there, but it's still a difficult time for them walking towards the objective. Using the Judo speed rings would be ideal just to help these things walk forwards, but you're just losing players before they start. These fights start. The poke difference going in favor of Wet Noodle. She's actually going to come up from second there on to Beasting in terms of final blows. Half the time bank is gone, and GCU have not gotten a single pick.
Yeah, it's been a roll so far here for NAU, and now Ultimate's being online as well. The catnapping, you see Annoyed Green Plague. It's very far up near attackers side statues. They know, like, hey, if I want to get somebody, it's got to be back here.
Yeah, that's okay. You still got him. That's
Rude.
not too bad. Jetpack Cat might as well have like half the spawn time of everyone else.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like Lucio on steroids as well. You know you're going to get back faster than the person you just killed in the process. So that's pretty much a fight win for NAU. Annoyed Green will eventually get back. But now, hey, you have Panopticon as well from Cartman to even try and deny. You can put it on Omni and deny that first shot of Deadeye too.
Yeah, I wonder. That's actually a really smart play for that to happen. We'll see what Omni ends up doing with it. It's gonna be hard to get in a position where Deadeye gets value. You do actually get the Kiriko though. So Wet Noodle being down means there needs to be more focus on this. But Cartman has just been looking unstoppable on the Domino thus far. It's gonna start getting punched on the top. Says, you know what, Beasting, high ground can be yours. You don't have a team to support you, so I'm gonna let my cat scratch you. And just like that, only a minute left for the GCU attack.
Playing extremely far up is Toad, and now GCU making some swaps. It'll be the Winston for Beasting, and Agent Alpha makes another swap back over to the Venture now, but something's got to give. Great, you have Orbital right for entry, maybe Window as well once you get to point, even with a Deadeye, but you just got to get one of these off.
Yeah, I think a little early on this overclock from Toad.
Bit.
Yeah, everyone, it buys like 7 seconds, however long that's fully active, and Toad's off high ground. That's something that GCU could definitely take advantage of, and Beasting will attempt to do that before getting brutally booped off. But there we go, Omni taking care of the pesky cat in the sky, and there's the Deadeye we wanted to see. Gonna opt to walk it over towards the objective. Has a speed ring, and there goes Wet Noodle. No support now for NAU, at least for a couple of seconds here. Marmello, though, wants to try to turn this around. Gets the Venture dip on the Agent Alpha, and looking to turn towards the point and take out Lilas. Carton there with the pinch. Again, no healing for the team. It's just ones being won all over the map for Northern Arizona University, and that trend will continue. It's 2 maps now over to NAU.
They're taking full advantage of these new heroes being in, and you can't blame them at all. NAU 2-0 to start, but you gotta wonder again. We just saw an almost reverse sweep in the last one. We'll see if GCU can find a similar turnaround to what Doan did, but yeah, it feels like right now NAU obviously feeling pretty well going into this regardless, but they feel like they've got a really good touch on this potential new meta that's developing with the Domina and the Jetpack Cat. It's so much movement, but also so much damage and sustain for the front line with Domina. She can kind of self-sustain with all those abilities and her shield. So it's just a lot. And if you haven't scrimmed against it very much in these first few days of the patch, you're pretty much, like you said earlier, learning on the fly, and you can tell GC are trying to think of ways to play around the Domina and play around the Jetpack Cat. I feel like they're getting Annoyed Green a little bit more often with the Jetpack Cat. It is the Domina now that I think is becoming the issue, because they just had no way of even getting to point as a full 5.
Not at all. Cartman has been impeccable on that pick so far, and he's going to look to keep that up as they head into what could potentially be the 3rd and final map for Northern Arizona University. GCU, though, they got one more hero band and map to pick, though. Let's see if they can find themselves again within this series today. We're going to send it to a quick break, give them a chance to get set up, and we'll be back with the continuation of our Division 3 matchup. We find ourselves once again at a position for a sweep will be reversed. We almost had it. We got to game 5, but with the way that this one has been going, it seems NAU have been putting in the hours over the past couple of days. Their Domina Jetpack Cat comps have been looking great tonight.
Yeah, they've been looking fantastic, and you would think for GCU, one of the two is getting banned here in map 3, whether it be Domina or Jetpack Cat. If I would say, I'd probably guess Domina, just because Jetpack Cat, like if you go to a King's Row, there's ain't nowhere for them to go. Obviously, King's Row not an option because Blizzard World already got picked, so they go to New Junk City. There's a couple of places you can get a catnapping to work. I think it's what, two flashpoints out of the 5 you can get one off. But
yes.
they don't ban Domino or Jetpack Cat. They will ban the Cassidy, which tells me GCU are trying to run some sort of dive, whether it be like a Genji or a Winston, whatever. NAU in turn will just ban the BAP, so they can pretty much lock in playing the Jetpack Cat again.
Yeah, so I was thinking, like, not banning the Jetpack Cat, I guess, it's not super useful here compared to other points, especially because there are ceilings. I think Jetpack Cat and ceilings have a very poor relationship with each other. I wonder if the cast ban is for the Venture or a Vendetta, potentially. I think that Agent Alpha struggled with that before. And then, the other thing we forgot about is Squid is subbing in for NAU. Last time we saw him on stream, he did actually play main support. He is listed as a DPS, so I wasn't sure if that was an awful or not, but he will be in, potentially playing the Vendetta for NAU for now.
Yeah, it'll be looking like the Vendetta. GCU maybe giving in to the Domina gameplay that we've seen tonight. Beasting goes over to the Domina himself. So a little bit of a Domina 1v1 for the first time here, at least on stream, for NECC. But it's going to be the Kiriko Cat once again here for NAU. The more traditional Lucio Kiri for GCU.
I do wonder how having the Lucio for speed is going to affect it. I mean, Squid doesn't care. He's fast, he can vault over the ceiling, and hey, who needs to worry about speed if Evelyn's dead? Nobody's on NAU varsity. So Squid's just gonna open the door wide open for that, and Cartman gonna slam it shut on their fingers along with Toad. So very well played by NAU varsity with the rotations.
Yeah, you can tell Toad's just going to linger. Anytime anybody gets low, whether it be from a Squid or a quick drive-by from Annoyed Green, like something's gonna happen. Oh my god, they're about to do an overhead strike with the
Please do
lifeline.
this.
Please do this. We're watching.
Drop the tactical nuke Vendetta, or just throw him straight to the team. I mean, hey, that works too. Who needs verticality? Squid happy to go in there, and it's actually Annoyed Green who ends up getting the final blow there with a little paw punch, you can call it that. That is a stun, though, into the wall for the cat, and she will crumple. No support there for NAU. So it started off really cool. It was creative. That one ended up backfiring a bit, unless Cartman just does Cartman things like he has been.
Yeah, Cartman would have to go pretty big here and win a 1v3, or even just stay alive for the rest of the team to get back, but they will not. So 74% for the Lumberjacks, but it will eventually be a GCU flip. Maybe just flying a little bit too close to the sun. Annoyed Green during that, but here is the advantage. It's like a Lucio Taxi on steroids here, with the lifeline and a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, plus healing if it ever gets to that point, but you're typically not attached to the Jetpack Cat for that long. But Cartman, though, looking really good so far on the Domina as he has been. There's the Panopticon put onto the back line, and Squid, Wet Noodle there to help clean up what their tank has started. I like this from NAU varsity. They're going into every fight with a clear idea of how they want it to go.
Ooh, that was disgusting.
Feel that tomorrow.
Yeah, I see you. I don't think GC will get at least a good touch here. It looks like they're positioned to get one underneath, potentially for Agent Alpha, but you gotta wait for the rest of the team to even get close.
Ooh, Annoyed Green and a bit of danger with the purr, that burst healing. You really gotta be careful. That is easy to underestimate, and so is kind of Toad and Squid being this little tag team duo in the back line. Cartman holds the line, and half the rest are not anywhere near the point, because Cartman is on it. It's like, hey, where'd everybody go? To the next objective, apparently.
Yeah, and look at that. Toad, Hack, Virus, dead for Beastie. That is exactly how you want that to go if you are the Sombra, even though, oh god, Agent Alpha, yeah, a little bit close to the members of Northern Arizona. Going over to the second one, the catnapping. This is one that the catnapping can actually get value, but too bad Annoyed Green won't be alive for it.
that void circle felt really personal. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The vortex. I'm beasting. Like I'm sick of the flying cat. Come down to the ground, say hi for a bit. So again, she'll be back before the fight even starts.
No!
The EMPs are gonna start that out. Oh no, the Kitsune rush. I think that still went out. There's so much red on my screen, I genuinely can't tell. But either way, GCU sent back to the spawn, and NAU varsity happy to work with that 4v5.
It got canceled mid-animation.
Oh, that sucks.
That is one heck of an EMP from Toad. Like, you get everybody stunned up. GCU are pretty much ready to push in. They know that Kitsune Rush is going down, and then all of a sudden it's not, and no abilities are available. Just a beautiful play there from Toad. And you can set up in this setup that's super hard to push through.
They're gonna look for it, but again, Cartman so quick to build the Panopticon, and Squid brings down the Sidering Blade and slicing Lilas in half. NAU varsity, a major advantage here. The Sound Bear not really doing all that much for GCU as they're just down too many players to make much of a difference at the end of the day. As NAU, they're allowing GCU to set fast enough to get another fight.
Yeah, and look at this. Mizuki is now in play from Ebullient. That was not a pick we really expected. I think we saw Mizuki for like 3 seconds during the end of NAU's attack over on Blizzard World, but this is a change.
Okay. Yeah, we've officially seen all 5 of our new heroes be played for tonight, but GCU, pretty much full composition makeover here. You just can't really do it. It's an unfortunate time. You already get overtime on the point if you're NAU varsity. GCU, I think they know that they're on their last leg here. You have one more flashpoint, start turning this around, so you might as well give this a shot. Okay, Cartman.
Yeah, try and just something different. I think the binding chain, if Ebullient was going to stick to it, could have been a big help, but instead, just goes back over to the Lucio. So Mizuki, not very, long-lasting, but nice to see the new support in for a tiny bit. The Orisa, you can tell, really trying to deal with a lot of tomfoolery here from NAU, but it's still Squid with the opener.
Yeah, Squid, I think just with Cartman, fighting in a small hallway should be illegal. I think against the NAU varsity comp. If you could get Omne more on his feet there, I think there was a chance, but GCU, there was just no time to do it.
Yeah, no time at all. It'll be another Lumberjack cap to start off. And look at this, Molly. Still, Panopticon, ready to go. Catnapping, which granted, you're more just going to maybe usher somebody away from the fight here than off the map. And Toad looking for another massive EMP. No ults on the board yet for the Lobes.
Oh, that hits onto everybody. It is lights out for GCU. Pretty much faster than you can say it. Fantastic play from Toad.
I don't even know if they needed the Kitsune Rush. Oh, I'm going to be so real. I don't think they needed it, but why not? Style points added on here for NAU. Depending on how long this fight goes, last fight, GCU won't have a sound barrier to keep them in this. We'll be looking at Lilas for another Kitsune Rush. There is no EMP this time, at least. Ducate's let out. Oh my god, Beasting.
It's the gold one!
This is
It's
the
the
luck.
rare gold
This is the
one!
luck.
Okay, Beasting, he's got to put it down to fight, though.
It's gotta mean
It's a good
something,
luck
right?
squishy. It's got to mean something. Beasting, that was the time. If GC are going to win a fight, it will be here and now. But Cartman might have something to say about it. Panopticon is out onto 3. Squid into the back line once more. And it seems the golden squishy might have something to do with Agent Alpha. He actually ends up coming with 3 here. And Beasting is on the point. The golden squishy, Jesse. It's not over for GCU.
There is hope here for the Lopes. I honestly didn't even think that the Golden Squishy was real because I have yet to pop it when I'm playing the hero, so I'm a little jealous. I can't lie. Catnapping available here for NAU, but that's really about it. They kind of put everything in, thinking it was going to be a one fight.
Yeah, that's a fantastic Terra Surge, though.
Oh, wow.
It pulls into 4, but Squid just found Benevolent. Beasting doing his best to trade this out. It's actually kind of even so far. The main concern, of course, is Cartman, who is alive and kicking and is pretty self-sustainable, as we have seen from Domina so far. But Beasting, again, it's like he unleashed the beast. Since he pulled out that golden squishy, unfortunately does not have that much luck against the beam of Cartman. Still full health, by the way, as we have been seeing quite a bit. And it seems a small burst of luck, what could have been the craziest storyline of all time, will come to an end here. Then NAU get the flip back over. Overtime will burn on out. And they are now up 2-0 on the regular season.
Yeah, perfect record so far for the Lumberjacks. And the team, they took full advantage of this new patch. And you can tell they've been putting in the hours during these last 3 days, especially Cartman on the Domina. Just so many great plays left and right. This could be a dangerous team to look out for, not just for this conference here in the West, but for D3 as a whole. It feels like nothing could go wrong for the Lumberjacks tonight. And you can tell GCU, I don't even think as much it was ill preparedness for NAU. I think it was just maybe not enough time yet on this new patch. And a lot of notes going in the future weeks. I could see GCU obviously now 0-2 on the season. Once this season gets going, once they learn these new heroes, I could see the Lopes really starting to climb back up. For right now, NAU sitting atop here in the conference.
Yeah, NAU, I think this week and potentially for the next 2, maybe I can foresee them having a good leg up on a lot of these other teams. If they're going to continue to experiment with the new characters like this, where a lot of people haven't, you might have up to a week's worth of extra time on this specific composition, not to mention an actual NECC match to back it up. So I think for NAU, they're on a very good path. There's very few teams, I have a feeling tonight, that we're going to be that much, I guess, committed to all of these new heroes. And GCU, one of them that just didn't have the opportunity to practice against it ahead of today. And it's things like this that we're going to see, especially as more heroes get added into the game, Jesse. It's going to be difficult to prepare for.
Yeah, there's still 5 more heroes dropping this year. You know, like, whoops, you know, like, just at least a little more spread out than this drop was. But you could tell, like, even in OWCS bootcamp that we've seen, some of those OWCS teams had struggles early on in these scrims because they're trying to learn a lot of these new compositions, what's possible with some of these new heroes. Obviously, they were also running, like, full 5 stacks for the new heroes. That's, like, never going to be an actual comp, but it was fun. You could tell NAU doing their homework, getting some extra little VODs in, maybe before the patch even landed, and then really getting to work on 2 of these heroes in Jetpack Cat and Domina. And it paid off, and like you said, I wouldn't want to play this team next week. I wouldn't want to play this team in 2 weeks because it's going to be hard, especially these next 2 weeks, to really figure out how to counter it out because you're probably learning how to play it yourself.
Yeah, you got to invest early, and that's exactly what NAU did, and that stock just happens to be going up right about now, and it could probably will continue to. And NAU, a team that has a ton of potential, especially in Division 3. They've been on an upwards trend since fall semester, and it seems like the spring has not put a stop to that so far.
No, it's been just the beginning here, and it's going to be a long semester ahead, everybody. Get ready, because this is just the first week of the new heroes, right? Like, I have a feeling once we get more and more, there's going to be a lot more of these new heroes to be seen. Pretty much 0 honor on tonight, which is a little sad, but no, we will see as we keep going here how these new heroes impact us in Collegiate, which already it feels like more chaotic than ever. But these new heroes were just icing on the cake.
Absolutely. It is more fun every single week that we get to watch.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, thank you all for all of our teams, our players for making the gameplay awesome, and then, of course, to all of you for coming out to support our collegiate teams in their college esports journey. That is, of course, going to do it for us here on the desk tonight for Overwatch, as well for week 2 of the entirety of NECC. Make sure you tune back in for the continuing of competition on Monday. We have Valorant, Marvel Rivals, CS2, and Rocket League on Wednesday, League of Legends Thursday, and, of course, our personal favorite, Overwatch Friday. So, be there, be square, people. Keep supporting our collegiate esports athletes, and we will see you on next Monday.